I'm getting political here. It's the Music Stupid. It's another episode where I pull 5 records from my collection. These are political records. These are intense records. These are records that are in your face. There's people out there. In fact, you, that entire family there, they want to be entertained. They want music. They don't want to have politics shoved in their face. But we're in this time of left and right and front and back and high and low and tall and short, where politics are in the forefront. So if you can't stand factual information and the truth, turn this off right now and go watch some Taylor Swift video or listen to some Supertramp album or watch something that is just ethereal kumbaya-esque ambient music, okay? And namaste and zen out, because I'm showing 5 politically charged records. One maybe not so politically charged, but uh, I want to showcase some music that the artist really put it out there for you. And to me, I don't think music should necessarily separate things. I know you want to go to a movie for escapism. What did I see? I saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I friggin' loved it. It's escapism. It's fun. It's violent. It's over the top. It's crazy. It's self-deprecating, and it's basically a rom-com of 2 people in love, in a way. So there you go. Okay, the first album I want to show is from 1972, and it's probably, in fact, not probably, it's the least successful album, one of the least successful albums ever by one of the Beatles, and it's John Lennon's and Yoko Ono's Sometime in New York City. I mean, the cover alone is political, in your face as hell, based on like a newspaper design style. And this record is problematic. I'll admit that. I didn't know what to expect. And when I got this album, I bought it as it came out. I watched that entire week when John and Yoko were on the Mike Douglas show. They were the guest hosts every week, and they had radical people like Chuck Berry. He's not radical. Jerry Rubin. Anyway, what a whacked out week. I rushed home from school every day to watch John and Yoko, and it's some weird shit, definitely. Now, my problem with this album is not the politics and the directness and the intensity of that, because there's some great songs. Just on the underlying music in this album are really well-written songs by both John and Yoko. The problem is the fucking Elephant Memory Band, terrible band, and the production. I'm hoping that Sean and company, they kind of skipped over this with all these remixes they're doing. They skipped over this and went right to Mind Games, but I hope they do something with this, because there's some greatness in this record. I mean, one of the most beautiful songs and the most political songs here. Well, every song is friggin' full of politics. Luck of the Irish. If you had the luck of the Irish, you'd be sorry and wish you were dead. If you had the luck of the Irish and you wish you was English instead, 1,000 years of torture and hunger drove the people away from their land. A land of beauty and wonder was raped by the British brigands. Goddamn. In your face. Great folk song, great political directness, a la Bob Dylan, a la Billy Bragg. Intense, great song. Production's okay. That's one of the least problematic tracks on here. John Sinclair, Gotcha. That too, a great DNA in these songs. Great folk songs. There's a couple songs on here that were remixed on the Gimme Some Truth that actually are really good. I believe one of them might have been Angela or Attica State. Angela, I think. Attica State too, John and Yoko here. Sisters of Sisters, Angela, Woman is the, I can't even say it here, but I think it's an important track, and the lyrics originally came from Yoko Ono. We're All Water. This is an amazing album. Now, the second disc is stolen tape, borrowed tape of when John and Yoko showed up with the Mothers of Invention at the Fillmore East. But I think This is an incredible political statement. 1972, the year the youth vote happened. I turned 18 that year. I got to vote for the first time in a year. I worked all summer and voted for George McGovern. He lost every state from one. We got Richard Nixon for a second time, and then of course we saw what happened to him. But at least, he did the better thing for his country and resigned. I mean, at least as much as a lot of us didn't like Richard Nixon, he actually went to China. He faced the enemy, Nixon and China. You got to give him some credit for that. I'm not a Nixon fan, but at least he resigned when he saw the writing on the wall, unlike other people in politics today. Incredible, problematic, political record by John Lennon and Yoko Ono from 1972. I actually have a sealed copy also in my collection, factory sealed for your protection. Just because this is sealed, why is this record protecting you? That was a hype sticker in those days. I love it. Okay, my original US copy. This is from 1977, the debut album by The Clash, the only band that matters after the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. And now, political up the yin yang. I almost picked London Calling, but this is the one. This is the one in your face. Now, the tracks on the UK copy are somewhat different than the American. I don't remember all the details. I think on the American they put I Fought the Law, great song, which is not on here, but you have Remote Control, I'm So Bored with the USA. You got Hate and War, London's Burning, a time of shit that was happening in the UK, of austerity. You got Career Opportunities, which is basically right in that pocket about that. But one of the most important albums, and definitely one of the most important British bands ever, The Clash. I love The Clash. I saw them 3 times, their very first tour, and then 2 subsequent tours coming through San Francisco. Great band, important band. 48 Hours, Police and Thieves. This is just a powerful, wonderful, wonderful record. Of course, Mick Jones, Joe Strummer, Paul Simonon, and Tory Crimes on this version of The Clash. Fantastic record. This is a UK CBS copy of it. Then out of San Francisco, the album, the artist, the band that had the most politically charged, bad taste names maybe ever initially in rock and roll, and that's the Dead Kennedys. And this is the album Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. Jello Biafra and Company. I saw them maybe 15 plus times. They were playing all over. They're one of those bands that you love to love and love to hate, but they were in your face. Jello Biafra is right up your ass all the time, politically charged. Now, this is the night of the White Riots. This is the night of the burning of the police cars in San Francisco by San Francisco City Hall after Dan White, the man who killed Harvey Milk and George Moscone, the mayor of San Francisco, he was acquitted. He would later commit suicide. What a tragedy. That's when Dianne Feinstein became mayor in 1979. But this is the picture from the White Riots, those riots at City Hall in San Francisco. A tragic event in San Francisco history, a tragic event in political history, in American history. But this record is like, I would see the Dead Kennedys, and they were kind of amusing. I mean, in a way, Jello Biafra was literally kind of a clown. And I don't mean that to disparage him, although he is so over the top, but he's so in your face. I loved it. I didn't like everything he performed. Didn't like everything he said. I didn't like everything he wrote about. He writes California Uber Alles here. That was the first single of the Dead Kennedys. I have that single. They did, I don't think it's on this record, Nazi Punks Fuck Off, that's a single. I have that, and it included a friggin' swastika, and that's in my collection. This is that punk era where certain punk bands, punk artists wanted to challenge you, wanted to kind of like, get your blood boiling of what they wrote about, what they sang about, how they performed these things. But California Uber Alles was really geared toward Jerry Brown. And Governor Jerry Brown was really the liberal the liberal governor of California. He replaced Ronald Reagan. We know what happened to Ronald Reagan. That would have been better if that was about Ronald Reagan. But he co-wrote this song, and basically dedicated to Jerry Brown, the liberal, because he hated hippies. Yeah, he hated hippies. Joe Biafra hated hippies, and it's all over this record. Also, Stealing People's Mail, Holiday in Cambodia. They do a cover, of course, the Elvis Presley Viva Las Vegas here. But you got East Bay Ray, Klaus Fluoride, Ted on bass, and Jello Biafra here. When You Get Drafted, Drug Me, Your Emotions, Chemical Warfare. Again, I saw them so many times. Intense record, politically charged, in your face. If you want to get away from and just listen to a Maureen McGovern album, There's Got to Be a Morning After, you have at it. Or Norah Jones. This is the real deal. This is the politics in your face. You can't get away with it. But basically, speak the truth and read the truth. Read about facts. Learn about facts. Don't listen to this conspiracy bullshit. And, I like this record. So there. Then, of course, to me, the most political folk singer ever, the person that wouldn't compromise for the most part, even though he did some interesting things, and that is Phil Oakes. And originally his albums were on Elektra Records. He would later record for A&M Records. There were recordings released, live things on Broadside through Folkways Records, I guess. I Ain't Marching Anymore. Great acoustic balladeer. Tragic figure in some ways, but truthful to himself, to the detriment of his career, possibly. The rumors of him, Bob Dylan and them have this tug of war, and Dylan throwing him out of the limousine, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I love him. I mean, Pledge to the Harbor, to me, is one of the most beautiful albums ever. That's not this album. It's not an overtly political album. It's got Lincoln Mallorca on piano. I'm talking about another album now, even though I'm showing you this album. But I just think that's a beautiful album. Great orchestration, strings. Just love that record. And of course, but this, just the cover alone, this is right in there. On side one, it opens up with I Ain't Marching Anymore. One of probably his first big song in the scope of the political movement, of the folk scene, not in terms of radio airplay. And what's great about this, on the notes, he writes all the notes himself about all these songs. And he writes about I Ain't Marching Anymore, the borders between pacifism and treason, combine the qualities of both. The fact that you won't be hearing this song on the radio is more than enough justification for the writing of it. He knows that this isn't going to be played. However, there were some FM stations. FM stations were starting to come out around this time, around 1967, 1968, underground radio, and they would play songs like this. They would play Outside a Small Circle of Friends, a song about apathy from the aforementioned album I talk about. You have Draft Dodger Rag on here, The Heat of the Summer, Last Summer in Harlem, Hills of West Virginia. Here's one, Talking Birmingham Blues, Birmingham, the tourist city of the South. You can bomb the church of your choice with the apparent blessing of Governor George Wallace. Not so crazy, reality-based things. Radical, yes. Lefty, yes. But tell them the truth. We know, looking back on the civil rights movement, what went on at that point in the South. Not that all Southern people were bad, or not that all Republicans on the right were bad. Not about that, but the reality of that. And that was Phil Oakes writing about this stuff. So this is It's the Music Stupid 5 politically charged records. But there's one more that is, I consider this sort of the palate cleanser in a way, or the dessert. There's Arthur, the Kinks, Arthur, or the decline and fall of the British Empire. Not as politically overt as some of the others, and not like a protest album in the true sense. More of a biography, autobiography of Ray Davis and Dave and his sister, who emigrated to Australia with her husband in the early 60s, left England and left the idyllic post-war England at the time of Muswell Hill. Victoria, Yes or No Sir, Some Other Son, a war song about some other son dying. Mr. Churchill said, I mean, this is a beautiful album about post-war England, about the loss of sons, the loss of husbands, the emigration, some people even going to Australia at the time. You got Driving Brainwashed, Young and Innocent Days, going back to a time when things were sort of innocent in England. So out of all these records, this is the less dramatically charged, politically charged record at all. It was going to be the soundtrack to a TV series. I believe that series possibly never happened, but I always loved the music on this record. Victoria, what a great single, what a great song, whatever it's about. But I just love this album. The song Australia on here, it goes on. Very much influenced by the Beach Boys as well. One of the greatest albums of the 1960s, just at the very end of the 1960s, is the Kinks' Arthur. So that's it. Politics, please register to vote. Important election, whoever you vote for. But read and watch and learn the facts of the candidates and the policies of them, please. Mazzy loves you.